I love racing, but I've done it my whole life. I enjoy spending obviously time with my wife, my kids, playing golf, traveling. I enjoy food. I enjoy all kinds of stuff that we just, that racing definitely jumps in the way of doing all the time.
Oh, no.
Hello and welcome to another special edition of a StattMann Scat. My guest today, very successful championship ARCA team owner, Billy Venturini. Billy, thanks for the time. You're getting ready for a race this weekend.
Yes, sir. Head to your country up in Ohio next week.
Yep.
Or then tomorrow.
Yep. In 2007, you did a special thing. You turned Venturini Motorsports into a driver development team with Toyota. Explain what that means. That's sort of an important part of your business model, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. Actually, so the way the whole story went down was we were kind of a mom and pop race team, and we knew that the landscape was changing. It was going to be hard to stay in that kind of role. So we ended up kind of deciding that we would go into more like a development deal. And actually, I didn't get with Toyota at first. I actually got with Joe Gibbs Racing. That was really my first big client. Yeah. So JD Gibbs and myself, we raced legend cars together. So we had a friendship, and I told him I wanted to do this. He had Joey Logano, hence the nickname Sliced Bread. He was the best driver coming along since sliced bread, best thing since sliced bread, and therefore he was the holy grail of driver development when he was coming up. And basically, I probably talked a little bigger than I was supposed to with JD, and told him we would do really well if we got the opportunity. And I don't know if he just wanted to see, because we really didn't have the credentials to get that deal, but I don't know if he just wanted to see if I could actually follow up with what I was saying. And he gave us an opportunity to go down to Rockingham in 2007 or 2008. And that was really like our first big client. And we won the race and sat on the pole and basically almost lapped the field. And it was pretty much, we were on the map like that.
Wow. Billy Venturini, some of the drivers who come out of your program are NASCAR's elite, including, you mentioned Joey Logano, the 2015 Daytona 500 winner. He's got a championship under his belt. Got Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney, Eric Jones. But none of those guys are in Toyota with the program that you are with right now. Is that just a freak of nature, or what happened there?
Well, there's only so many rides on the Toyota, in the Toyota Cup Series or Cup level, and we hope that we can add a couple more. That's kind of the goal. I think we're a little light right now on where we need to be for total Cup seats. But the bottom line is we develop talent through Toyota. Really believes in just the sport and believes in trying to help develop the young talent. And then there comes a point with these young drivers where they have to decide, if they can't keep them any longer, they have to let them go. One of them that they really helped develop, and it really didn't come through my place because the timing wasn't right. And honestly, it was a little before everything I was doing with them, was Kyle Larson. That's another one. He's a total Toyota kid, brought up through the ranks by Toyota. And it just didn't work out. We helped with William Byron. That's another one that we brought through that ended up at Chevrolet. But then we have Christopher Bell, and he's homegrown. And Joey was going that path, and it just, for some reason, the Joey Logano, Joe Gibbs Racing thing just never meshed the way it probably should have. And then when Joey got the Penske, obviously it's been lightning in a bottle ever since.
Let me ask you a little crazy question. It just came to mind. You were a driver once. Would Billy Venturini hire Billy Venturini to put in one of his cars to race in ARCA?
Nah, I was a way better crew chief than I was driver. I wasn't a bad driver. I just didn't really we just didn't have the means. I could do a couple things really well. I was a good plate racer and a really good small short track racer, but I'm not as talented as these kids are. I mean, there's some of these kids, their talent's unbelievable, but they have such amazing tools to work with. I mean, we have simulators and I mean, they have trainers and dietitians. I mean, like, they're trained athletes now. It's a whole different world than it was when we did it. I mean, when I did it, after the race, drank a couple beers, and you just that was it.
Does Toyota help you with these programs outside of racing to get the drivers ready to be in a car for 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours with a 500-mile race?
Oh yes, the programs are actually Toyota run. The trainers are hired by their Toyota has a complete facility. It's TPC Toyota Performance Center, and they've got trainers there. They have people to help with social media. They have someone to work with basically sports psychology. It's a full onslaught of things they have there, man. It's like it's racing college, man. It's the coolest thing to be part of. And then we have the simulator and all the stuff we do there. That's a little more team related and that we're involved in, but the off track stuff is really more Toyota driven than even my teams.
Let me ask you some personal stuff. Billy Venturini, you worked with your dad to grow Venturini Motorsports for some 30 years plus now. I had a dad. We didn't always get along well together. Fathers and sons don't always work well together. How'd you and your dad work out in all that time?
He gave me the reins pretty early. And in this form of race team that you see, it's been mine since we started it because it was the only way I was going to go because dad didn't have any passion for it.
Wow. Your dad's been in racing more than 40 years.
Yeah.
You plan on staying that long?
I highly doubt I'll be here for 40 years. I'll be here for some more, that's for sure. But Dad's the type, he don't ever want to retire. He wants to do this for his whole life. And that's what he's always told me. He's like, I don't know, I don't ever need to spend a day in retirement. And I'll be honest, I don't know if I feel the same way. I kind of got a whole bunch of things I enjoy doing besides racing. I love racing, but I've done it my whole life. You know, I enjoy spending obviously time with my wife, my kids, playing golf, traveling. I enjoy food. I enjoy all kinds of stuff that we just, that racing definitely jumps in the way of doing all the time. Man, I love playing golf, but I'm not a fisherman. I'm not a hunter. I don't do any of that stuff. Like I said, I'm way more of a city slicker. I do enjoy, I love the culinary arts and stuff like that. And just, we're really into that. It's something we like.
Here's another one I didn't mean to ask. You're from Chicago, deep dish or regular slice?
Regular slice. Deep dish is fine about once a year, but you feel like you've eaten a barrel of food if you eat that often. And the locals don't eat deep dish often. That is what the tourists eat. Yeah, like if you go to a regular pizza place in Chicago, it's thin crust. It's cut in squares, not cut in slices, and the toppings are always under the cheese. I mean, anyone from Chicago, that's the pizza we eat. The deep dish, it's awesome. And I love a Lou Malnati's if I was going to do one. But that's a once a year type thing because it's just, you're a glutton for punishment when you eat that thing.
Yeah, we could get along well, dude. Except the golf. My dad played golf and he tried to get me to do it. And if I have one regret, it's that I didn't pick it up. Just the idea of having a 4-hour walk with my dad right now sounds pretty cool.
And that's my favorite thing to do. I love to walk. When I play, I'd much rather walk than ride. It's just like that would be my peaceful getaway right there.
Billy Venturini, a couple delicate questions before we get away. What's the difference between ARCA and NASCAR Cup? You pointed out there in Toledo, there was one team that was racing with Cup equipment. Is a Cup car the go-to equipment in NASCAR and ARCA?
Well, they went to that COT chassis, and obviously the team over that's affiliated with Joe Gibbs Racing is going to have resources that the other teams aren't going to have, and that's obviously they'd be fools not to do everything they can to use those advantages. And I don't know if everyone will go that way because I think it's going to be a really expensive route to go, and I don't feel like the other teams are going to go that way. I just think right now it's just hard to. They have a lot of resources over there, and they have a really good race car driver too. So you put that really good race car driver with the resources they have, and it's a tall order. I mean, we're still first and second in points with our two cars, and they're third. But man, it's gonna be a fight to race those guys.
All right. So, the forefront of any team owner's mind right now is the future of the automobile. Automakers are concentrating so heavily on electrification and moving from fossil fuels. Where do you stand on that? You think racing has got a bright future with that in mind in Detroit and elsewhere where they make cars?
Well, I think the idea that there won't be fossil fuel cars on the road, I mean, that's not possible. Like there's still going to be there's too many vehicles that would be obsolete if that was not an option. Now, do I think the percentage is going to continue to change towards electric vehicles? Yeah, absolutely. I think there definitely will be a transition in the percent that you see, but to say that there's going to be nothing but electric vehicles or even 70 or 80% electric vehicles, I think that would be a strong statement. And that probably will happen eventually. I just don't know if it'll happen in my lifetime.
Is there any way electrification and hybrids can be incorporated, especially in the modern stock car racing?
I have seen no reason why not. I mean,
Really?
I don't see why not.
Really?
Like,
Wow,
if
Billy,
everything
that's
else we do, could it be done? Yeah, it could be done. We can do about anything we really need to do. Now, will it happen? Probably eventually. Will it happen like in the time frame that people are discussing? Probably not. I think it's going to be. It'll probably take a while, but yeah, there's no reason why I don't think eventually we could be that way. If that's what it would take for us to stay relevant, and then obviously NASCAR Cup would be the first one I would think to do this, because they're always the leader in
wow.
everything technology.
Wow, dude. I had no idea that would be your answer. It sounds like maybe you've had maybe some conversations with Toyota along that line.
Now you're leading the witness there. No, honestly, I mean, I've had conversations with lots of people who know a lot about the sport, and I just feel like we're gonna have to do what we got to do to stay relevant. Like
Yeah.
you have to evolve, and if not, I mean, you're not gonna be around. So we're gonna have to evolve, and if that's the direction it goes, then that's the direction we're gonna have to follow.
One of my favorite things is something Ali said years ago, is that the man who thinks the same way at 50 as he did at 30 has wasted 20 years of his life. And I can
Very
probably
true.
apply that to racing. If you're doing the same thing that you did 20 years ago, you missed the point.
You're exactly right. Like we're changing and evolving always because it's the only way you can stay alive. And if you're not willing to do that, you're not going to survive in this sport or in life.
Yeah, right, exactly. You ever think of going into another form of racing like IMSA or Trans Am? They race the same kind of cars you do.
If the right opportunity arose, I would absolutely entertain that. It would have to be something where along the lines of kind of working with a similar group to what I get to work with now. And if that was the case, yeah, I'd love that.
Billy Venturini, dude, you just dropped some gems on the table, man. I had a whole nother idea of the way this conversation would go. Thanks, partner. I really appreciate your time. You're busy right now. I appreciate you taking some time for me.
Well, no problem. Anytime.